Hey guys, welcome back to Nature's Cadence Farm. Today we're going to be working on a Stihl 026, a 026, and this has a scored piston and I'm sure scored cylinder, probably with some aluminum transfer from the piston. And the goal is today to get this thing possibly going. The piston has a lot of scoring on it. The cylinder, I haven't even looked at it. What you're seeing here is what I started with, and it's crusty, it's dirty, it hasn't been taken care of. I think it was over revved, and maybe possibly ran without oil in the gas. I'm not sure. I got it with no felling spikes on here, so whoever was running it probably just had to push down on it really hard to get it to cut, and or didn't push down on it enough and just kept on just gunning it there and trying to get it to cut. But this was donated to the channel by a fellow named David, so thank you, David. David also donated the other MS290 to 390 conversion that I did. He donated the blown up saw for that one also, so that I'll put a link to that up here, so check that out. So today I've already pulled the muffler off on this and kind of looked at everything. It's two T27 screws on the very front of the muffler. It just pops off, and then two T27 screws that hold the base of the muffler to the cylinder. So that comes off, and it did not have from the fact. And I went ahead and pulled the spark plug out and put my compression tester on there, but did not have a back cover. And I pulled the air cleaner off there so I could get to the spark plug. So so got that all apart. Haven't even pulled the top cover off of this thing. Don't know what it looks like underneath there. Maybe just packed with dirt and overheated. Overheating probably would not help this much either. So like I said, the plan is to get this pulled down enough to get the piston out, and I'm also going to try to possibly clean the piston up and the rings and the cylinder, and just to get it running. Now, I priced up a new Chinese aftermarket motor complete, well, top end kit and gaskets for it in case the cases leak. I'm not sure if they do. I might have a seal leak, but for what I'm going to try to do to see if it's halfway going to run is fix the piston, sand on it a little bit, work on the rings, play with those, sand on those a little bit, and clean the cylinder up and see if we can just get this thing running. So let's get in here and see if we can get this thing going. So this is the best I could do for compression, and that's about 80, and it drops pretty quick after you finish doing the compression test on it. So I did try to put some gas in this a long time ago to get it to fire, and it popped maybe a couple of times and then turned right off. You know, like it wouldn't start back up at all. So 80 probably is the borderline for what this thing would run at. So let's get this. I just wanted to show you that real quick. That's what we're working with. The goal is to get more compression than what we have. So we have 80. So let's check it when we get done. Now, it's got to kind of break in after I do a bunch of sanding on this thing. So it should go up. It should go up after we work on it. So let's get it apart. So here we go. We're gonna pull this top cover off. It's just one screw, and this is a straight. Now I could use my Stihl scrunch, but you know it has the flat on it there. But I find a screwdriver works a little bit better. There we go. So that's just a nut that tightens down onto the top end. And man, this thing is crusty. Oof, look at all that mess in there. So there's a good shot of the piston. So we can kind of turn that over so you can see what's going on inside of there. And that is not good. So you can see all this just junk down in here. Hasn't been cleaned in probably its whole life. So I'm gonna spend a little time cleaning this up before I pull this top end off, because all this stuff in here, it could possibly get down in the bottom end and really cause some problems. So I'm not going to get it spotless, I guarantee that, but I will definitely get it better than it was. As part of the cleanup process, I'm going to go ahead and take the handle off, and that is 2 T27 screws here, and then on the bottom 2 T27 screws here. I like to keep my parts in a bin. These are some Milwaukee little carrying cases that I bought, that I took those extra pieces out to put something a little bit larger in the box, and those work really well. So let's go ahead and pop this handle off. And I haven't been in this, guys. Hope you know that. You're learning with me as I go along, and I've never taken down an 026 before, so that's kind of neat, something new. Love learning something new. Looks like this has got the intake boot system here with a screw. So like I said, I'm going to get this thing cleaned up. I just wanted to show you taking that handle off. Got her cleaned up a little bit there. I got this cleaned off down inside of here where there's a little straight screwdriver. I've got this little real small cabinet tip, which means it's straight on the sides. Actually, it's got a little bit of a taper to it, but that ought to fit right down, and that's perfect. That right on it. I'm going to back that screw off. That'd be really hard, but it's right down inside of there that holds that boot. It's a little hose clamp. Then I've got 4 screws here that hold the top end onto the cases. So I've got my T27 here, and we're going to see how dirty these things are. Okay, that one's clean. That one's good. Just going to back that out of there, and pop this one out. Got a couple in the back here. Alright, got those loose. We might have to tap it with a rubber mallet to get it to break free. Got me a rubber mallet here. Let's try to... There we go. That's all it needed, just a little persuasion. And I'm just going to use this screwdriver and pry this rubber boot for the intake off the back side there. There we go. Thing was in there tough. Alright, there you go. So there's a good look at the piston, and hopefully you can see that. No, you can't even see that. So there's a good look at the piston now, and you can see that it is in rough shape. You can see the rings are completely seized to the piston. Now let's look at the cylinder here real quick. So here's the cylinder, and I'm going to put some light in here to show you the exhaust side. And you'll see it's kind of scratched up a little bit, but really not that bad. Intake side here looks great. I mean, other than a little discoloration or so from there's some black stuff all over the transfers where it's running rich, really rich. I'm not sure if the carburetor, something's wrong with the carburetor or what, but we're gonna clean this up a little bit. You can see squish band inside of there. That's that flat ring around the outside edge of the cylinder. We're gonna check squish on this when we get it all back together. I'm gonna do a no base gasket on this. I'm just gonna glue it back together, and so we'll try that out. But here's the again, the exhaust side, not bad, really not bad. I think we are okay. So on the piston, I looked at the thickness of the skirt, and it's not as bad as I thought. I thought it'd be a little bit thinner than that. You know, this thickness underneath here. So I'm not worried about it breaking off or anything or falling apart. I honestly think this thing just got straight gassed, but it's got some grooves in there. I'm going to polish this up with some Scotch-Brite, maybe some really fine sandpaper, and again clean the ring grooves up there a little bit, and clean those rings up. So let's go ahead and get this piston off and get started with that. I'm going to go ahead and pull this side cover off to help video a little bit easier and just to get better access. So that's 4 screws, T27s, all the way around here. I need to lube up this recoil anyways because it's a little sticky. That should pop right off of there. Just like that. Yeah, this is kind of, I don't know if the spring inside of there is a little tight, but when I was pulling on it, it didn't want to retract. So we'll get that back together, no problem at all. It should be easy to do. This Stihl actually happened to be manufactured by Stihl Incorporated in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So that's kind of neat. Some of these are West German, I guess. If you know more about this saw, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it in the comments there. So here we go. We got the piston accessible. And I've got a pick here. I'm going to try to pick this little snap ring out of here without throwing it all over the place and losing it. Like I just did. Thankfully it landed on my clothes. Anyway, so there that is. So now here goes the pin here. I've got the corner of it supported by this piece of 2x6, but it's been cut back some, so it looks a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to try to drive that pin out of there. Alright, so there's a little needle cage bearing. That looks good. Everything's fine. There's our piston. So there's a better shot of what's going on here. So this is what we're going to clean up. We're going to get these piston rings, this piston cleaned up, and these rings cleaned up and moving again. Because right now you can see they're supposed to move like this, where they kind of have a little flex to them. But these are stuck in there. So let's see if we can get these out without breaking them. New set isn't that expensive. A set of cavers isn't that expensive. So, you know, this is a kind of a project to just see if we can get it running. Can we fix a cylinder and piston that are scored and a non-running saw? So let's try it out.